Hey,
There we are.
finally. Sorry about that.
No problem. Mr. Allred, how are you today?
Well, I'm doing great now that I'm on.
Yes, we're very happy that you're here.
Oh, thank you for the invite. Absolutely.
We have a number of individuals that are joining us today, and I've given you an introduction. I've told the group that you are the director of bands at Clovis High School, one of the most successful programs in the Southwest, and you have some wonderful information to share with us regarding your general marching band philosophy and preparation for the fall semester. So welcome to BNA Conversations. The first question I have for you is, what is the craziest thing you've done in the name of band?
Well, I thought about that question, and I'm going to say this here. I remember about 15 years ago, I brought the band in around a ladder and carried on the conversation, brought them in close and tight. So it was personal conversation, what's going on. And so there's a snare player. I can't remember his name, so maybe one of the followers remember was part of that band program and tell me. And I was up on the ladder, the drum major podium, talking. And this snare player always drove me crazy. He was always obnoxious, always drawing attention to himself. And here he was again saying, Mr. Allred, Mr. Allred. And I finally said, I can't remember his name, but I'll call him John for John Doe. John, you mind? I'm trying to do rehearsal. You're always distracted. And then all of a sudden he goes, Mr. Allred, XYZ.
Oh man, that's a classic band director moment.
Well, you will see me OCD of always grabbing the top of my belt. I'm going to make it the rest of my career without ever having again.
I mean, that's really all the education that people need for today. You have to mind your zipper.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite interesting, though, as I've asked this question over the years, you're not the first person who has a story about their zipper being down. So you're not alone. Why don't you tell our audience here a little bit about yourself, your pathway to your current position at Clovis High School?
Well, I went to high school in Middlesboro, Kentucky. Very poor coal mining town. The high school is a 1A. We had about 32 members in the band. We were not very good. Never made a superior rating. But we loved it. We were passionate. We went to 7 marching contests a year. And that was Kentucky for you. And then I went to University of Tennessee. About the time I was graduating, I was not getting any job offers. And a gentleman, Larry Fowler, director at Monzano High School, knew Gordon Hart, my predecessor, met him at TBA, and Gordon said, I'm looking for a band director at the last second, and Gary says, I got you guy. And they called me 6 hours later. They hired me and drove 30 hours across the country, my little Chevrolet Citation with a little bitty haul, and I thought I'd be here just for 1 year, and here it is. I'm just finishing up my 24th year.
24 years. That's an impressive tenure there at Clovis High School. And, of course, the marching band and the concert band have always been very active in our state and national band festivals, including Bands of America, named the State Honor Band on many occasions. And I think that today, the 5 things that you're going to share with our audience, which was expanded to 8 because marching band is a question that is on everyone's mind right now. People are wondering, should I plan for a traditional fall semester where we're bringing back everyone and we're going to have a normal marching band season, or should we sort of repurpose and think about what might happen if public schools are not in session when the fall semester begins? So I would like for you, Mr. Allred, to just share your perspective with our viewers about the upcoming fall in terms of preparation.
We're not doing anything different. We're going to prepare like we're going to be in brick buildings. We're going to be rehearsing every single day. And we're going to be planning for that. It's my personality, but I choose not to be defeated by this pandemic and give up and all that stuff. And I think the kids deserve the best and that they need to be prepared for whatever. And if we start schools and things get worse and we go back off and then we're prepared for that musically, obviously visually it's not going to help. There's a good chance that marching season could get canceled. Who knows? But we're going to prepare as aggressively as we can. We might start off with the visual demands be a little bit lighter, and numbers start off smaller. And things going well, we can always add, like to the second minute. Then we're going to add them, and then we're going to add and doing that. Because who knows if you start the year, how many parents can say, I'm going to let Susie and Joe come because they might get the flu, and who knows? So we're going to start a little careful regarding that. Musical demand is going to be another level. We're going to take another level musically as far as demands and all that. So we're going to be a little bit smart with that.
Good. Yeah, I think that's a very uplifting way to look at it. And as you and I were discussing last night, if you have all of your preparation done, you do have materials that you can occupy the students with should the schools be closed at some point along the semester.
Absolutely. And we have our kids set up on smart TVs. They all have their own laptops. Let's see, one of the really benefits of being at a very low socioeconomic school is that they provide every kid a book, MacBook, and kids can have that. Every kid has a subscription to smart music. As a matter of fact, all of our kids right now have all-state etudes on smart music available already. And they've been doing sight reading, they've been doing those kind of things, and they also have the opener right now on smart music.
That's excellent. It sounds to me like your preparation has continued unabated as it would during a normal, well, now I guess early summer in preparation for the coming July and August. That's fantastic. So now I would like to shift gears and have you share your 5 things, or as I mentioned earlier now, your 8 things that you wanted to share with our audience about marching band preparation and your philosophy in general.
Well, first of all, I think marching band, people have love-hate relationship with it. The marching band is not my favorite. It is concert singing by far. However, marching bands bring so much energy, enthusiasm, and excitement to the kids. It creates the buy-in. The average students that are not overly motivated with music uh, keeps them motivated into music. It's also, I call marching band necessary meaning that if your marching band is the most visual, we all know that. And if your marching band is making the public happy and the schools happy, then you get more funding for your concert season. You get more. And so your marching band it's about everything that you do, no matter what you do. You do excellence. If you want to do a straight line show, you're going to be excellent at what you do. And that generates excitement in kids, the parents, the administration, the community. So it's very important to do that. The 5 things I came up with is being at the lower socioeconomic. Well, I have 5 kids that take private lessons in the classroom. Okay? That's not an obstacle to me. That's a challenge. And so what we have to do to overcome these things, we have to go about the processes differently we can't do the same process as Hebron. I mean, their kids are very well developed and great kids and all that. And the seasonal sounds, what I mean, they must put air in their home.
Mm-hmm.
They must offend people for the month of August and most of September. Put air in your home. Produce some offensive sounds for a while. They got to build their faith. They got to build the strength. They got to be able to control. Now, late September and October is refinement. That's when you start to refine. And a lot of people, I think they make a mistake. And we must make a pretty sound at all times. Well, you're not developing skills. You're not developing tools. You don't have that. Marching band is to be effective to the audience. Your job is to affect them, not just to let them appreciate you. Affect your audience. You gotta have the strength and the power to clap them on at this moment, but also back off and have freedom and a great sound. So that's one advice that I think that I learned the hard way. Is you got to open them up, let them play, and then refine it. At the end of September and October is refining it. So this you have a band that will play with a great sound and a great tune. You'll be able to project the sound up to the top of the box. They have that ability by that time. So The next thing is focused rehearsals. I go to rehearsals, I do clinics and look with groups. If kids are chattering, and if they're not facing forward and looking at the person at the box, they are not learning at the level that you think. That's a function rehearsal. And if that's the rehearsal, they have to be quiet. They have to be focused. And kids have to have intent and enthusiasm. The next thing is student leadership. You got to train your kids. For the last 20 years, 12 hours of leadership training, 6 hours on 2 different days, 4 3 blocks. So working with the kids, and leading life skills. Why is the person not trying to be hard? Recognize what it is, and then I teach them, okay, step 1 to step 2 to step 3, sit down, talk to them, and let them outside. Here's doing this, here's how to do that. So how to recognize what's going on in a section. I teach my section leaders how to redo this.
Mr. Allred, can you put on your earbuds and plug them into your phone? We're having trouble hearing you. Sorry about that. Is that a jackalope on your wall?
How about that?
Yeah, it's like we're on a professional news broadcast now. So why don't you go back and begin with your discussion of seasonal sounds?
Okay, so seasonal sounds. The month of August and September, the kids have got to put a ton of air. And I mean, I'm talking about producing some near offensive sounds. They got to produce their face. And unless your kids are really showing up to you really well developed, it's a different story. But if they're showing up to you not completely developed, they got to develop strength, they got to develop face, and they got to develop air and the speed of the air for they to have the tools to be effective when they perform. And so the month of August and September, if you come and listen to my band, you're going to be thinking, what in the world? You know, they're aggressive. Absolutely, it's a process. And we push the air through the instruments to where it's pretty harsh for a good amount of time. Now, into September and October is refinement time. That's when you refine them. And when you do refine them, they have the strength, the ability to push their sound to the top of the box, not just the first 15 rows, not the middle of the audience. It has to go up and it has to reach. And you have, marching band is supposed to be effective. You've got to affect the audience. No matter what your style is, you've got to affect them. You got to make your audience not appreciate you, but love you. Your job is to make them fall in love with you. And it's hard to make them fall in love with you if you got a constant mezzo forte or just a barely a forte. They're not going to fall in love with you. They're going to appreciate you. And that's is a big difference. And that's our goal, is what I've learned over the years. I've checked that box of what people just appreciated. And I've checked that box of being overblown. And over time, I just realized, okay, now I'm feeling it's time to refine this. And so that it becomes effective. And you have tools. The kids have the tools to be effective and reach. Doesn't matter if you're a 30-piece band or a 250-piece band. They've got to have that tool. And they're not going to have that tool unless you let them achieve that tool. Focused rehearsal, the other thing is that the kids, there's a difference of being a functional rehearsal and an effective rehearsal. If the kids are talkative, even somewhat. And if the kids are not facing forward at ready position and not looking at you while you have the microphone, they're not focused. You know, I tell the kids, are you listening or are you hearing me? There's a difference. They might hear you. That's a functional rehearsal. If they're listening, they're intent what you're doing, or they're paying attention, they're ready to go. You're so much more effective, and that's a thing that I've gone out, done clinics, worked with bands, and seen bands rehearse. You can see kids chattering. That's not an effective rehearsal. It's just functional. There's a big difference, and it's huge. And concert band, no different. They got to be quiet. They got to be paying attention, looking at you, waiting for the next instruction. That's an effective rehearsal, not functional. The next thing is student leadership training. I train my kids, my section leaders, 12 hours. 2 days, 6 hours each day, 4 3-hour sessions. And training them is training them people skills, meaning how to read other students in their section. Why are they quitting? Why are they not trying? Why are they not being as successful? Why is one crossing their arms and being stubborn? Why is one not bought into? I teach them how to read people, and then I give them tools how to help them, how to help that kid, how to help Dustin Seifert. Why is Dustin Seifert not giving his best effort? And I can see me slouching and it doesn't look happy. You know, why? Well, read into it. Don't come to conclusions. Find out and how to go about that. I think that's critical. And I also take a lot of time teaching those kids how to teach. I'll put the other section leaders in a block, and I'll have those kids teach them a concept. And then I let the kids give feedback. But I teach the kids to make sure you have to say one positive thing, then the constructive criticism. And I try to really enforce those kids one positive thing and then follow with the constructive criticism to help them out. And I try to get them to think outside the box and be creative. Because when you go to marching contest, you go to think you got 1,000 things going on. There's only one of you, maybe a couple of assistants. You need an army of generals to help you and to help get their sections going and build morale and build excitement and help them get excited. So I think training your section leaders. I mean, I go to Plainview and help them out and teach them. I teach leadership over there and have a great time, and the kids learn a lot from that. And the kids always walk out of there, Mr. Allred. I now realize that band is more than just band. It's about life. And it's about the life skills that we learn to do. And it applies to life. And I even talk to them, this is how you get jobs, people. This is how you go up in your profession, whatever you do. These are life skills. So that's a very important part that we do every year. And we also teach the kids how to reward people in their section and how to give them the attaboys, attagirls, and icebreakers. We teach them how to do icebreakers, you know, when they get their section together. We talk to them a lot and influence them, hey, take your section out to lunch, pro bono, and all that stuff. Meet together. Meet at your backyard to do a barbecue with your parents. You know, they'll do that just to build that morale and that culture that you need. The use of section leaders. This is real important. Section leaders can pollute a rehearsal unless they are taught how to do it right. Meaning, they will talk. Their intentions are great. They want to help. They want to teach others. They have so much knowledge. But you have to teach them when is the time to deliver the information. When do you have permission to give information to someone beside you? You have to train them. And by the way, staff members, band directors, middle school band directors on the field, you too need to know when. When is the time to deliver information and when is the time not to? Or else you cause pollution in your rehearsal. Because human nature, if they hear an adult talking, what's a kid want to do? They want to talk. It just becomes natural reaction. And so I think that is imperative. You train your section leaders when is the appropriate time and how to go about it and get that. The other thing, students quitting. I think this is real important. I learned a long time ago, there's 3 reasons why kids quit anything. 1, they don't feel like they're good enough. 2, they don't feel like they belong. 3, their heart's not into it. And 2 of those you could fix. The third one, if their heart's just not in it, they need to go find what their heart is in because they could make it toxic in the environment. But what is people, and I'm guilty of this, our first reaction is to come to the conclusion that it's number 3. Oh, their heart's not in it. They hate bands. They don't want to be here. No, 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 no. Sit down with them and find out. They might have something going on at home. They might be finding out something, this and that. Find out what's going on. Sit down, have a conversation. Nice. I even teach my section leaders posture. A non-threatening posture, a welcoming posture. How do you read their body language? If someone has their arms crossed, that means they're defensive, so on and so forth. I give them those kinds of tools, but they need to find out if they don't feel like they belong. Help them. Find out if it's number 1. Help them belong. Hey, come over here. Let's all go to lunch together. Or 2, if they don't feel like they're good enough. Hey, sit down. Hey, how about we meet after school today and I'll give you some help in fundamental marching, or I give you some help on your music, or hey, you know what? You're better than you think you are. You're just being really overly tough on yourself. That's part of the leadership training people skills I teach my kids to identify and do something about that. So there's the 3 reasons, and no matter what, it's 1, if they don't feel like they belong, if they feel like they're not good enough, and if their heart's not in it. If they're, find out by talking to them if it is number 3. That's real important, because you keep kids around and their heart's not in it, you force them to be around, they try to make others be miserable with them. They try to bring that in, and you can't have that. That's very bad.
Yeah.
Designers. Oh boy. A-plus riders. I have hired A-plus riders that's won DCI championships. I've hired Bands of America designers that's won Grand National championships. And I'm like, yes, that's what I want. That's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get that product right there. I'm going to get Westfield High School's 2003 version from that designer and that designer. Nope, wrong. You'll get an A-plus designer and pay A-plus money and get C work. They don't get motivated unless you're going to help them get a name, and that's Grand National Finals, or at a very high level where they make a name. Where I have found to be best for us is to find B riders, even C-plus riders, and have them buy into your program. Become loyal to you and your program. And I always tell Brandon Boreal, hey, if we're in Clovis, the only thing we got is a little bit of money and hopefully some charm. Not the scenery, but we got to charm them and get them to buy into our program. And that's exactly what I've got. I don't have any drum corps designers, and all that stuff, huge names, one kind of. But I found a way. I've had them for 5 years in a row. They love us, and we love them. There is a loyalty. They know we'll go out of our way to make their idea come alive on stage, and we won't embarrass them. And we're up and coming. They love that. And so you got to find your designer that's prescriptive to your situation. What are your goals, and where's your kids at? What development and skill level are they at in doing that? I think you got to be. I'll use Kelly Morrison as a great example. Portales, she's got B.J. Brooks. Brilliant decision. I think he's done a terrific job of what they need in doing it. That's being prescriptive. Rusty Crow down in Hobbs, they have catapulted. They have found people that love them and doing it. And he quit paying big bucks for big name designers. So you got to be prescriptive to your situation. Another thing, flip folders stuffed with warm-ups, show music, stand music, drill cornets. Kids never take these home. We catapulted our program when I did this. And I know this sounds old school, but it's very true. We have flip folders. We put it on a string. We don't put it on the instrument and march around with it. We work on memorization, do it. We stuff them. The directors and some drum majors, so on and so forth. We stuff them all their warm-ups, all their show music, all the stand tunes, and all the drill cornets, and we tape them in. We put a string in. And we have tubs. We give a tub to each section leader. And the kids are not allowed to take these flip folders home at all, period. What slows rehearsal down? It's that 15, 20% don't have their coordinates because they left it at home.
Mm-hmm.
So we guarantee they have their coordinates and their music right there with them at all times. And thou shalt not take these home. Now, we'll pass out extra music from take home to practice. They'll get 2 sets in
Mm-hmm.
doing that. That right there, we learn drill so much faster. We put more music on the field so much faster. I mean, just doing that right there is critical. The last thing is color guard. Color guard, I used to be, years ago, color guard frustrated me. They were drama queens. They were always fighting. They're always arguing. Didn't get a I see a smirk, Mr. Seifert. You know what I mean?
Expensive too.
Expensive. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, and those kids, guess what? They read it on my face. That's exactly what I thought of them. And they rebelled. I rebelled. They rebelled. It was just, oh, Lordy. And then one day, Annalise Sillavance, about 10 years ago, she was an all-state clarinet, great musician, and she was color guard captain. And I said, Annalise, you're going to do guard, right? Oh, yes, absolutely, Mr. Allred. Okay, and clarinet too. No, Mr. Allred, I'm not going to do clarinet anymore. Annalise, music first. Music is the most important thing, you know. And she finally turned to me. She's a very smart young lady. Mr. Allred, sometimes color guard is more important to someone than music. And I get as much passion out of color guard as I ever did with my clarinet. That was a hard pill. I thought about that. And then I changed my attitude. I went, point taken. Because color guard does bring joy to a lot of kids. And we have a lot, last year we had 65 color guard members in our band. And those kids are passionate. And only about 5 of them played an instrument. And man, they're passionate about it. They love it. It's bringing joy to their life. So I changed my attitude, and I fell in love with color guard. I did. I fell in love with them. I'm emphatic about it. I know in our activity you have to have it to be good. That's okay. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to be great. And ever since my color guard got significantly better because of me. Here's why. I changed my attitude. I changed my attitude. It's not my instruction. It's not my dancing or flag tossing and all that stuff. I changed my attitude towards it. And then all of a sudden the kids, they no longer felt like a stepchild. They felt like part of the program. And even the years when I was frustrated with them, the band didn't like the guard. And then the guard didn't like the band. You know, that friction. Okay, that went away as soon as I changed my attitude. I always raved about the color guard, their uniforms in front of the band. I always raved about the flags that they're doing. I always raved about how well they dance, how well they spin, how well they do that. And it becomes contagious, and all of a sudden the band's going, hey, yeah, they are awesome, aren't they? They're great. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So bonding the two, creating that split was my fault. Bringing that together was me changing my attitude. And I don't teach color guard. I mean, I think they're great, and I think it started to bleed, and now it's become a thing to be in Clovis as a color guard. Last year we had 97 audition. Yes, in about 6 years we had 142. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just what you decide what it is and how you go about it. And anybody's interested, I'll forward all the packets and everything, our procedure, how we do it, how we go about recruiting. That is a process in itself. How you get in the middle schools and all that stuff. I have a great package on that. I've had some great color guard people teach me that. And now I just do that. I know they're not joining color guard because of this face, you know. They're joining it because they see what's happening. And I want to be part of that. And it took a process to do that. I think I went through everything.
Yeah, you definitely did. And I really applaud your honesty when you were discussing those 8 points that I think are all very important. And I can say very firmly, from having known you for at least 20 years now, that you are someone that is constantly interested in and committed to professional development. So you actively seek out opinions that are contrary to your own to improve the situation for the students in Clovis. And that's something I've always admired about your approach to teaching. I would like to point out to all of our viewers that Clovis is the home to 2 Leal's restaurants. So it's not all bad in Clovis. And I think they offer carry-out service these days, don't they?
They do.
Yeah, so that's good. As I hit on a couple of high points that I heard during your presentation, I would invite questions from our audience. You can input your question on the chat, and I will ask a couple of them to Mr. Allred. I like the fact that you hit on the fact that time is a great teacher, that over the course of your career, if you're not actively self-evaluating and evaluating everything that's going on around you, you're just going to get the same product.
Absolutely. You know, the kids deserve your best. And you're not going to be at your best that you think it is if you're not out there taking risks for your own self. And I brought in a lot of great people, and a lot of them walk in and teach and do this, and they see what's going on here and not say one compliment to me. And I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
It hits me in the stomach a little bit because I'm like, okay, I'm not near as good as I think I am doing, but the information I got from them, so I worked harder. Okay, I want to bring a bigwig in, and I want them to give me some true, not fabricated, not sugar coated. I want true, legitimate compliments. You know, then that means we're on the right way, and that's me getting better as a teacher. If we're not getting better, and I know everyone knows this, then your kids are limited. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
not sticking your neck out there, you're limiting yourself, which is not fair to your kids. And the kids deserve your best, and you've got to take your risk. And absolutely. I see a lot of young band directors, and some not so young. All they want to bring is people to come in and tell them how great they are. I want the truth,
Mm-hmm.
because the truth sets us free, and the truth is what is really going to make us great and have a chance to be great. One other thing I'd like to add to that is that if you decide, don't look at what your program can't do, look at what your program can do. Don't use poverty as an excuse. Don't use rural or remote as an excuse. Don't use being in New Mexico as an excuse, or don't use those kinds of things. See them as challenges, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but find ways to overcome them. And I just try, with the directors here in the past, I absolutely do not want the language to say, well, we're poor, we can't do with that program. No. That conversation does not exist here. No. We're going to find a way to get better, and here's why, and here's what we're going to do. Not we can't because.
Mm-hmm. I also like the fact that a common thread that I heard throughout your uh, discussion here was the importance of mentorship. And that's not only you as a director seeking out mentors, but offering your services as a mentor to others. You mentioned Plainview and the work that you've done there in helping train their leadership team, which I think is fantastic.
Oh, Dustin, you're the same as I. I get a kick out of helping people. The older I'm getting, the more in this career, helping other programs, other schools, and other teachers and all that stuff. Man, I enjoy it. I really do. It's rewarding that I feel like I'm making a difference, kind of paying it forward. Because I've had so many wonderful people teach me and help me and mentor me. And I just feel like whatever I do know, I want to pay it forward and do some help. Absolutely, reach out. I'd be glad to help you.
Uh-huh. I also liked, and this is the last thing that I'll say before I go to some questions. I really like the use of your word pollution to describe everything in a rehearsal that is the opposite of what we want to accomplish. I think that terminology is well understood by everyone in the rehearsal environment, and it
Yep.
has just enough of a negative connotation to really get people to think about what they're doing when they're in the rehearsal environment. So that's excellent. First time I've heard that used, Bill. I have a question here now from Steve Snowden, one of our friends in Albuquerque.
Okay,
Steve
skip,
asks,
next.
you know, Steve,
Yes.
how do you organize the second set of marching music and pep tunes for home practice? So what's involved in what you send home with the students?
The marching show, we will give them large printout copies they to take home. They to have at all times. The flip folders it just does not go, does not leave at all, because I want to guarantee 100% of those kids have their coordinate sheet. And I also train, but it is some eyebrows will go up on this one. I train my band directors that are helping and section leaders never ever show a kid their spot. You can show them how to find it, but never show them their spot. That just slows down the process. You can walk, okay, what does it say? Okay, do this. So the pep tune stays in the flip folder, and when we do the football game, they'll have that flip folder. They'll put it down everywhere at a rehearsal. We'll have that flip folder. If we go to a marching contest, we'll have a short rehearsal. They'll have that flip folder with them at a practice before the contest. I mean, at Midland last year, they had their flip folders with them out there in practice that morning. So they can always refer to, oh, what was that? Was that a B flat or an A? Oh, okay. Oh, wait a minute. Is this? Okay, they can look at it. Oh, wait a minute. I thought it was 2 steps up. Oh, it's 1. They have that right there. And I'll even stop. Okay, everyone, get your flip folders. All right, look at this, set 32. Go. You got 45 seconds. And it gets to where we can learn. I give them 45 seconds. After you learn about 8 or 9 sets, we can learn a set in 45 seconds. Now you put it on phone. I'll put it on my phone. Hey Siri, set the timer for 45 seconds. And she'll do it. And the kids laugh at it. 45 seconds, they're there. They got it. And doing it, you get that process of procedure there. Hopefully, I answered that question.
It did. There's a follow-up that I'll get to, but I would like you to expand on this a bit. Have you found over the course of your career that the operation and the engagement of the rehearsal from a pacing and a personal standpoint has been something that you've invested a great deal of time and focus on?
Absolutely. 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 I mean, I remember 10-ish years ago, I had a couple of drum corps guys, Dale Warren and a couple others come into the rehearsal. I really thought I was doing good. Okay, this is going pretty good. Oh, wow. And then they sat me down after having at a bar. Okay, Bill, that's the worst rehearsal I have seen in a very long time. And I was perplexed, hurt, crushed, but inquisitive. And that was what I needed. And here's what. Here's why. Okay, do you know your kids were not listening to you? Okay. Do you know they were chatting on the field? Okay. Did you know your staff was chatting on the field? No. Those moments evolved. Yes, absolutely. The process and if you get your process, get the culture going, it cooks, it goes.
Right, and I'm hopeful that during this pandemic that all of our music educators have really sort of dug down to the base level of their process and begun to rethink the aspects of that could improve, because we haven't had ensemble rehearsals. We all miss those. And when we come back, I think we're all assuming that the students will be more engaged than ever because they've had this removed from their life for a period of time, and they can't believe how much they've actually missed it. So I think when this ends, we have the opportunity to burst ahead, not just to return to normal, but really refine our approaches and improve our art form a great deal. The follow-up to Mr. Snowden's flip folder question was, are you using actual flip folders like we would buy from a music store? And when you send them home, are you giving them a second plastic flip folder with rings to take home? Or have you put those in folders or something?
I just give them the paper copies and just give it to them. It's just getting so expensive. We get 3-ring binders. I guess we can make the kids do that. But we give them a paper copy to take home. The flip folders do not go home at all costs. And if they do, I'm going to have words with the section leader. Then the section leader is going to go to that person. Because right there on every rehearsal, you could see that flip folder on their side. You know who does and who does not. And we put their names on them.
And the flip folders, frankly, are expensive and can be difficult to get your hands on. They're sort of a limited resource these days. So I think it's wise to have another option. Well, Mr. Allred, I want to thank you for joining us today on our BNA conversation. I thought that your 8 points were very well taken. I feel that you provided some very practical things that folks can implement when the fall semester begins. We are certainly hopeful that it will begin as a normal fall semester and we can carry on with our life. And congratulations to you and your students on the outstanding work that you do there in Clovis, New Mexico. It is certainly one of the gems and bright shining lights in the Southwest United States.
Thank you very much. It was my honor and privilege to be here.
Thank you, sir, and thanks to all of our viewers for joining us. I'll remind you that each of our sessions occur on Wednesday afternoons at 2 p.m.